Welcome to Deep Look, Ultiworld's weekly radio show about the current state of Ultimate. I am the host, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me, Ultiworld senior editor Keith Raynor on this Tuesday, September 9th. We're in full swing sports mode, Keith. I mean, we got the USAU postseason. The NFL season has started. US Open finals this past weekend. College football is back. I mean, it's baseball crunch time. It's epic right now.
We're almost into the magical months where it's all happening. I mean, we're not that far away from basketball and hockey and everything just like happening concurrently.
It's true. Like what? NBA and NHL season start in about a month, a little over a month. So
Charlie's probably gonna have this part bleeped out by producer Sue, but I hate to tell you, but College Ultimate is coming.
I'm not ready for that.
I know.
We got a fun one today. We got a lot to get to. We've got a fun segment coming up after the break. In or out. We're gonna just take on topics and tell you whether we're in or out on them. And of course, we've got all the typical stuff. Trivia question coming up in a moment. But quickly want to note really that Zack Davis, one of Ultiworld's writers, has had a piece selected in the top best sports writing articles of the year for 2025. And there it is, Zack Davis right there. His article on the Detroit Mechanix, one must imagine the Detroit Mechanix happy, has been selected for the year's best sports writing, which is pretty cool. So you can pre-order the book now. It comes out in about a month. And the story of the Detroit Mechanix continues to captivate the world, Keith.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, they're like what, like the 6th, 7th most talked about, maybe most recognized team in the league for losing.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a 60 Minutes piece about them. I mean, it's it's hard to believe like that the UFA might get more press from the worst team in the history of their league than like the good things happening.
I mean, it's a fun story in a way. It's a fun, probably not fun for them, but it's fun for we certainly get a lot of mileage out of the jokes, right? So it's worked out. It's worked out well for us. But it's funny. There's one of my like favorite sports short documentaries. L'Equipe Petite is about a little kid soccer team that has never scored a goal, and it's an amazing, just like pure, it's an amazing thing. I love it. It makes me tear up every time I watch it. But it's like 10 minutes long, but this is them. This is the Mechanix. There's something about seeing a team that's trying despite failing over and over again that hits people.
It does. I totally agree. Anyway, very cool. Congratulations to Zack for being selected alongside some pretty heavy hitter sports writers for big publications like ESPN to be in this book. So love to see it. Keith, did you see these posts from Brian Nevison over on Instagram?
I did.
He's a trainer in Ultimate. And his post begins, "I effing hate this sport, an anti-ode to Ultimate." And then, I mean, he went off. Like, he really went off. Like, multiple paragraphs and then multiple paragraph comments, et cetera, et cetera.
He laid into us, and not us specifically, but us, the general us.
And so like, I don't know, I'm not going to try to read through everything here, but Brian says, "I regret catering my business to Ultimate Frisbee players. The more I lean into helping Ultimate players, the harder I work and the less money I make." And basically talks about people not being willing to invest in themselves, uh, and looking for quick fixes and just dealing with injuries and not really being willing to spend money to solve those problems. Now, I it's an interesting thing here because I've been involved in coaching Ultimate players about training. I've of course been involved in Ultimate's business landscape for a long time. And I can certainly understand the sentiment because I feel like one of the things that I do on this show for over a decade is complain about Ultimate players being stingy and not being willing to pay the money that it takes for things to be good in the sport. And this is just one of those spots where like people are really they're willing to spend money in some ways and not others in Ultimate. And I don't know that people aren't willing to pay for training because there's some very successful businesses around training in Ultimate. Uh, I would suggest to Brian that he consider a different business model compared to maybe doing one-on-one type training programming, which is, I think, difficult to scale in Ultimate. But you look at a company like GPP, and I don't know how well they're doing, but they certainly have many hundreds of athletes paying them every month for training.
Well, I think when I read this post, the part that felt like the thrust to me was this. I've had an obscene, and this, I'm going to quote directly here. I've had an obscene number of calls and conversations with people willing to do anything for relief from pain, stiffness, injuries, etc., except pay for training and guidance, or even significantly changing their training approach. That I think is kind of the thrust of what he's saying. It's a call out. I mean, he later goes on to say like Ultimate players think they're like really serious athletes, but they're not. They simply balk at going beyond the pale to be successful, and that's what being a like truly elite athlete does. And I it's funny because in the comments of this post, I don't know if there's any pushback. I'm not sure that, and yeah, obviously, you got a selection of the audience. People who are following him and are reading this post are probably already his fans and friends and community. But there's zero pushback. Everybody's like, preach. Yeah, talk that trash about us. Which I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I see what he's getting at, but I also think that like what's the reason for people to spend money on training when the sport does not give them any money back? Unless you're in that tiny group of people for whom being successful in Ultimate is not necessarily profitable, but enriching in a different type of way, then, it's hard. I can see why it's hard for somebody to justify making that expense when you could get, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% of that benefit from trying to figure it out on your own and asking ChatGPT and YouTube and Instagram for exercises.
And fair enough, right? If people want to do ChatGPT PT, then you shouldn't be trying to cater to them anyway. Look, he's right and he's wrong. Ultimate players are cheapskates. Okay, it's true. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. People anchor to the prices they paid when they were in college, and they think that that's how it should be for the rest of their life. And you've got people complaining. I just was talking to somebody. I won't name the state because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I was talking to a TD, and they were like, people are complaining about $500 or $600 bid fees. And I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is one of those areas where people are completely irrational about price, because if you actually think about it on a price per person basis, it's like nothing. And this is actually another area where I think people are irrational about price. People are willing to spend hundreds of dollars on their kit and their swag and their bag and this and that, but they won't spend, $15 a month on training protocols from Ultimate companies. Like $15 a month is nothing. It's less than you pay for your gym. And like, I don't know what the current prices are, so don't quote me on this, but if you want to get one-on-one advice from an expert, then it's going to cost even more than that. But like, if you're specifically looking for injury prevention stuff, somebody like Brian might be a great option. The thing is, he's right and he's wrong. Okay. He's wrong in that it's your job as a business person to figure out a business model that will support what you're trying to do. And if what you're doing isn't working, either you need to switch clientele, which maybe is the thing that he should consider and just not worry about working with Ultimate players, or you need to acknowledge that the way that you're trying to do it now is not working and you need to try something else. And maybe don't give out free advice. Maybe you stop giving out free advice. People call you and they ask you and they say this and that. Don't tell them what to do. Say, okay, well, you can set up a consultation for $75 and then we can talk about some stuff and blah, blah, blah,
And I like his free content. I've definitely consumed some at points. But I also feel like that you brought up the tournament model, and to some degree that it's a little bit different. The market dynamics of running your own small business as a trainer are different than TDing tournaments, where the tournaments are a necessity for the sport to exist, and we can't even figure out the economics on that side. So people complain about that all the time, just like you're pointing at. Also, I always say, like, everybody wants lower taxes and better public services. Everybody would like better stuff at a lower price, and it's just not the way the world works. But we're all wired that way as people, for worse. I don't even want to say for better or for worse, just for worse. So that's just, we love to complain. Ultimate people love to complain. So they'll talk about how bad USAU is and then never vote in the elections, right? Like, so this is just, you get used to it a little bit.
Let's see. EMF says, I'm just looking at the chat. I think Brian's point was that he used to work with other sports and made more money, but he wanted to give back more to Ultimate and swap back to Ultimate, and then has, clearly not been doing as well as he'd like. And he saw the contrast of other sports players investing money at an even lower level in comparison to Frisbee. Yeah, I think one of the things about Ultimate is that it tends to attract a smarter type of person. And, call it what you want, right? I mean, part of that is driven by where people pick up Ultimate. It's like elite high school, prep schools, and colleges. And so you have like this relatively intelligent player base, but it also means that people think they know about everything, right? They can do it themselves. They know better than whatever. And so you get a little bit of that. And there's like a counterculture aspect too. So people are like a little bit skeptical of authority. And that can obviously manifest in people thinking USA Ultimate is an evil organization. And it can also manifest in people not listening to experts. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff intertwined there. And Anthony says in all caps, I love complaining.
But see, that's somebody find a way to make money off that. Like, how do we use all this complaining energy to make some money? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Akshat says, I've never charged for filming Ultimate. I just enjoy filming my friends and the local heads. It's best for my mental health this way. I said this before, but the young generation of Ultimate players have 100 other hobbies and passion projects, especially the young COVID era. For the most part, that 100% all-in dedication to one thing doesn't exist much. I don't know about the generational divide stuff. I definitely understand AK's perspective of like, I don't want to take money so that I don't have to be beholden to people saying I have to do things a certain way. I'm just doing this as my own hobby. But that's not a way to run. If you want to be a personal trainer and make that your living, you can't do it just for fun,
Absolutely not. No.
All right, let's move on. This is another little news note here. The
surprise news.
Sorta. USAU released its audited financial documents for 2024. It's actually like nice to see them back doing timely financial reporting. Nonprofits also have to post what's called a Form 990, which you can find publicly on the internet, that shows things like how much money they made, how much they spent, how much they pay their top staff, people who make more than $100,000 a year, and various other things to make sure that because they get this tax exempt status, that they are on the up and up. So USAU posted their most recent financial documentation, and there was some conversation in the Ultiworld Discord around one element of the way that they spend their money. And let's see, I'm going to pull up the actual numbers here. National team programs came in as 20% of total expenses for USAU's year. This is again 2024. And then the youth programs and coaching came in at 14% of total expenses. And Tim Smith, former WAFC head, posted this in the Ultiworld Discord and said, this feels like an immediate talking point. So, Keith, I'll throw it to you first. What do you make of the fact that USAU is spending more money on their national team programs than on their youth programs and coaching?
I want to continue to use Tim as a resource before we get into this, as a little more context around this, using some of their previous national team data, basically, and previous financial data that they've released from other years. So like he basically said that they're drawing in revenue also from both national team program and competition programs that would include youth. So like the national team program they're probably spending around 600,000 on it. That about 50% of it is covered by stuff that they're accruing from players participating. And then meanwhile, it's about 72% of the competition athlete programs is covered by the event fees, all those tournament fees that we all pay. And the rest is subsidized by membership revenue. But youth, not specific there. So going back to your question specifically about youth, though, yeah, it is. I can't. My first thought, obviously, is probably the same as most people. Like optical red flag. Like you're like, well, that can't be right, right? Like youth is supposed to be the number one priority. There's no world in which like your youth budget should be tied, like at worst, above whatever the national team. Like that should be your starting point. Oh, whatever we had to spend on national teams, we need to spend slightly more on youth this year. Because it's such a key priority. The community has voiced this time and time again. It's one of the only things I can think of that feels consistent across all of USA Ultimate's feedback and survey data for the time that I've been with Ultiworld. So a decade's worth. Youth Ultimate has basically been, we should be prioritizing this number one. So it's a little bit surprising, but I'm open to taking a step back to thinking more about it. Like national team like we're at a time when there's just been a bunch of national team stuff all back to back to back. Maybe this isn't the same way annually. And national team stuff is expensive and it's going to fluctuate based on where it is. When the World Games or a national WIFTIF tournament, when World Ultimate Club Championships or whatever, when all that stuff's in the US, it's going to be a lot more affordable. When it's in China and Australia, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So that stuff's going to fluctuate. So maybe just an expensive period of time. But also just generally a more expensive endeavor. Like flying people places is expensive. So all the travel costs, it's just an expensive thing to do at its floor. So maybe I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm with everybody else that my first reaction is like, that doesn't look right. It feels like it shouldn't be that way.
Well, let's think about some of the money that has to get spent, right? They have to fly coaches to training weekends, and they have to have staff at these training camps as well as at the events themselves. Australia absolutely adds a massive additional expense. There's multiple teams of coaches. Remember, players are mostly paying their own way. Now, I think that they're getting free jerseys when who knows what exactly the arrangements are there, but USAU is probably paying a discounted rate on those jerseys, but they're paying something for them. Look, I don't think there's like some sort of smoking gun here. I do think, on the other hand, that it is worth asking about the prioritization and how USAU seems to run as the things that it wants to spend the most energy on. when you have so much emphasis being put on these national team uh, programs, and 2025 is going to be even more expensive probably because they have to pay for the athletes for that. That's a fully paid thing by USAU for the athletes. So the athletes, I think they had to pay to go to London Invite, but they don't have to pay to go to China, and that's not cheap, right? To send 14 people plus coaching staff plus support staff to China for over a week. Um, but again, why, like, asking larger scale questions about how USAU allocates its budget and what it's prioritizing is totally legitimate. I tend to think USAU spends too much energy on national team stuff. Like, do we really have to go breakneck to win every single gold medal on the planet Earth? Like, can we do that without spending as much money? On the other hand, USAU's revenues are up over $6 million last year. So it's not like this represents some massive amount of money that, that they can't allocate to other places, right? It's not entirely zero sum if you want to think about it that way. Like, you're going to
Right.
spend money on these national team programs, right? No one's asking for the coaches to have to pay their own way. At least I'm not. So then it comes down to, do we want to see them do more to pump money back into local orgs, which is what I want to see. They say they want to do that. Let's see if they actually do it, right? Let's look at the 2025 data when it comes out and see if we're starting to see some things going in the directions that make sense for growth. Because I don't think these national team programs are doing almost anything to grow the amount of people playing Ultimate Frisbee. Sorry.
Yeah, I've totally agree. And I think that maybe that could be a vestige of the top-down approach that I think marked the kind of Tom Crawford era. But uh, I think that every time we come around to these national teams, especially U20s, but any of the other ones as well, there's always some people voicing the idea that, like, these are, opportunities for the privileged. We can't get enough access. People who are not in hubs already are blocked out, blah, blah, blah. And frankly, is what we want to see more money spent on increasing access to these national teams? Like, is that something that we need to invest more in? Because that, not to say that it's not a valuable thing, but when you're thinking about prioritization, you're asking to spend more membership money to send, the 1% players to support elite competition that doesn't necessarily raise the base or help the growth. So, like, those kinds of questions, I think sometimes people are short-sighted about how we're actually spending the money. I think also you want to know, like, where this youth money is going. What's in this youth bucket? How could we be investing more in this space? If you want to ask about how you want to reallocate, but the top line numbers, it's not going to reflect well. I think when most people see those two numbers, they would want them to be reversed. I think if you just generally asked the average Ultimate person, "Hey, here's how 20% of the USAU budget goes to national teams and 14% goes to youth," is that the preference you would like, or would you like to switch those? Most people, almost everybody would say switch, right?
Yeah, but it's not a totally simple story. Again, I don't think there's anything in this
Agreed.
that, like, suggests that USAU is, like, doing a terrible job or doing the wrong thing. But again, it is about relative prioritization, and I continue to be frustrated. And there's ongoing Ulti World Discord conversations right now about, like, how they're running YCCs and, like, prioritizing youth stuff and using YCCs as a carrot and stick, to get people sort of, like, basically paying USAU affiliate fees. And, you have what I consider to be the gold standard of youth ultimate development right now in the United States. That is Minnesota. That is not Seattle. It's Minnesota, doing an amazing job of growing their high school scene every single year. And they're, like, still, like, in this kind of weird Cold War with USAU. And I cannot believe that, right? Like, USAU thinking they're in the right about this is insane. And I cannot be more frustrated by the fact that it seems like we continue to double down on these ideas that, like, well, you need to buy into this system that's not working for people, and we need to then, like, have punishment being doled out to an organization that is doing a great job of doing the thing that we should actually be caring about, which is growing the number of people playing, because everything else will get better. If we could double the number of youth players, I promise you everything else will improve. There will be more membership money coming into USAU. There will be more, like, growth begets growth. And we just simply haven't done enough to prioritize that. And now that we're coming out of COVID, it is the time to take advantage of that. All right, let's keep going. You got anything else, Keith, on this?
I mean, I feel like you and I could talk about this for literally the rest of the episode, the rest of the day. We could do a 24-hour live stream.
It's my blood pressure up.
Yeah, we can't stay with this because we've done this so many times. We could veer off into the area that we've charted many times.
Steph Rapazzo in the chat says investment in elite programs and visibility is an investment in the retention of youth with legitimate aspirations to stay in the sport to be able to, quote, make it. And I agree, right? As somebody who works in the media side of the sport, of course, I value, presenting the sport in like a professional way and having these big playing opportunities shown. But it's like there's literally multiple semi-pro leagues. There's the entire club division. There is a YCC tournament. There's a high school national championship tournament. Like, we have those opportunities existing already. The national teams are a part of that for sure. But it's still about, like, what is the thing that we care about the most? What's the number one A1 goal? I still feel like USAU's answer implicitly is like running elite championship series tournaments, which is still needed. And they do a really good job of that. But I think that number one goal needs to shift to increasing the number of people playing the sport, because I don't think they've done enough to support that through their actions and their allocation of money. So, all right, let's keep it going. It's time for our trivia question of the week.
All right, Charlie. This trivia question, unusual one, I think, for us. This actually was inspired by a mailbag question in the Discord about naming more awards after players, and to which I replied, well, there are named awards in Ultimate. The most famous award, probably the Callahan, but also the Donovan Award, and in Club, there's the Kathy Pufall and Peter Farragher Awards. Those are the women's division and men's division spirit awards, individual spirit awards, respectively. They also recently started the mixed division awards, which do not have a name. They're spirit and equity awards, and they're awarded to WMP and MMP in the mixed division. Charlie, can you name a single person who won that award last year at 2024? There are four people you could say. Can you name any of the four that won this award last year?
I'm going to throw a shot in the dark. I have no idea. I literally have no idea. I will say Jade McLaughlin from Shame.
Producer Lindsay Sue did get this in the pre-show, which was impressive, but needed a little bit of help. So I'll give you a little help after I tell everybody about our friends over at Breakmark. It's their 20th anniversary this year, and they're celebrating. They're doing giveaways on Instagram every Friday, so make sure you're following them on Instagram so you can get access to some of the free giveaways they're doing, get some free swag. Everybody loves free stuff. Also, people like things that have a little bit lower price. We've just been talking about price sensitivity. Everybody wants to spend a little bit less. Well, Breakmark's got you. They heard how many people love their bundles on their sublimated items, so they lowered the prices on all of their sublimated core items. So the shorts down to $30. Short sleeves and reversibles are $35. And again, that is sublimated gear. You can get all those sweet designs or the crazy ugly stuff, whatever you want. Do your thing. You get the quality that you know and the amazing customer service from Breakmark that you know, but doing it at an even lower price. They're pumping out orders now, so check out our friends over at Breakmark. So Charlie, I'll give you the same hint that the producer Lindsay Sue, who said maybe it's somebody from Fury, and I said who's the person who's not on Fury but is the most on Fury that you could think of in the entire
Kayla Helton.
that is
I literally said earlier this year that she was on Fury because I so associate her with Fury.
Where the chat is shouting out one of the mixed division winners, Liz Carvajal from Austin Disco Club, Caleb Denacor, another one. Carly Garrett got that from Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. And the
Nice.
last one, which I don't think I see in the chat, back to the Bay, Byron Liu of San Francisco Revolver won the Farricker Award.
Nice.
Which I don't know what it says that people really don't know who won these awards. Although the chat did a pretty nice job with this, actually. The thought process behind having the names of the awards, like, do people know who Kathy Befall and Peter Farricker were? I don't think that they do, but it's nice that their name lives on, and I'm sure every once in a while someone asks who that is or Googles it or something. Maybe we do need more names for the awards. Should we name the Ulti-World Player of the Year award? Like, does it need a name behind it? I don't know.
I think it's an interesting idea. Like, disc golf does this. I mean, we could easily do the, in the women's division, it's the Alex Snyder Player of the Year award, or something like that.
Yeah. Or we can name
Bo
it after
Kittredge Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why people don't remember. It's because there's very little done to promote these. They're announced, and they have a little ceremony. It's not like they don't do anything, but it's low key relative to other awards, and it's purely about spirit, which I think it's a really nice honor that these players get these awards. But if this was more like the Callahan and it was a player voted skill plus spirit award, people would remember them a lot more. I promise you that. So I think that there's a case to be made that there should be a new award created for the club divisions that is a player voted Callahan type award, because then people would definitely be talking about that. But honestly, it would probably further devalue these existing awards.
I don't know. Maybe we should make that award. Maybe that's us. Maybe we're all over that.
We literally have a Player of the Year award, Keith.
Yes, but that doesn't account for spirit.
That's fair, but it's a squishy,
and
it's not player voting. Topic.
That's the key. That's the actual difference. Is there's no player voting.
Yeah, agreed.
Callahan low key a fraud award, says Anthony in the chat. Shots fired at the Callahan award.
I mean, it has felt less vital lately as media has changed and as the voting has sometimes been suspect, in my personal opinion. How about this, Keith? AOUC, Asian Oceanic Ultimate Championships. Walk-off Callahan. I don't think I've ever seen this. And not just in any old game, to win the title. Let's take a look at the clip.
Chapter in this tournament to bring back
Ellipsis versus Swampy Barg, women's final. Ellipsis out of Australia, Swampy Barg out of
underrated
Japan.
Skill. Here we go. Callahan Country.
Oh, there's Wendy.
Oh, and there it goes of Callahan! Ellipsis wins the tournament. Defense wins championships. Ellipsis wins gold.
That's the commentator nailed it. Callahan Country, and indeed it was. Sloppy reset, and Georgia Egan Griffiths says good night. Just like that, Keith.
I mean, that's a never forget it kind of score. Both I find in general, Callahan. It's funny because we're talking about Callahan, the Callahan Award, and I often think people end Callahan videos with actual Callahans, and they often are boring. Like, they're not a great looking play. It's mostly just a catch. Some are sweet. Don't get me wrong. Not all Callahans are created equal, but it doesn't matter how you get it. If you're winning the gold medal for your championship of your region, that's pretty sweet for that Ellipsis team, who is also picked up Levka Volchek. Was playing with that Ellipsis squad that won AOUGC.
Levka can't be stopped. Levka plays
at least not from play. Not from playing.
She's absolutely everywhere. She's jet setting all over the globe, playing at every possible tournament. She's on Brute Squad, but hasn't even played with them. She's just going to roll up for the series. And what if they win nationals?
most likely elite club player to just appear at like your summer league, just like, oh, we picked up Levka this week.
She's gonna go for the look. She can look up the top 10 biggest cities in the world and enter all of their summer leagues and try to win them all.
That actually, that would be a sick video series. If somebody's got the budget and wants to be an influencer, I would watch that. If you just traveled around the country trying to win as many summer leagues as possible. I mean, you'd have to line up the schedules perfectly to be in the championships, but if you were on the winning team, like you could play in week 1. If that team goes on to win the championship, like I'm here for it.
I mean, admittedly, Levka is going to be such a game breaker in summer league that literally whatever team she's on will be the favorite to win the title.
Yes.
It's just that simple. All right. Sectionals was this past weekend. Most sections, couple of problems with the weather. We had some founders section got rained out, so they're going to play this coming weekend. But mostly sectionals is a time for the marginal teams to hope to try to make regionals, but there are some interesting results at the top end. How about Durham Toro losing to Brunch Club, Keith, at sectionals? So Toro's going to have to go to the Southeast regionals and is already going to be kind of spicy. And now they're going to have to be seated behind Brunch Club. I love that pancake logo, by the way.
I think that I think in pool play they lost, but they turned around and won the tournament eventually. So they will not be seated behind Brunch Club. This was not the final. They lost in pool play. But when you're like, what are they, top 5 right now in the power rankings? You're not supposed to be losing to random sectionals teams. You're supposed to be earning your way out of sectionals altogether. You're supposed to be able to opt out, and instead you're out here taking L's to so if Toro could theoretically go on to win the national championship. Like they're a top 5
team, they could.
Right?
Absolutely. They've been great this season.
Brunch Club will then be able to say we are the true national champions. I look forward to the Brunch Club social media post about that.
My apologies to Toro for misinterpreting this. They crushed in the bracket. They beat Parliament 13-5 in the championship game. And here's the thing, okay? Was it game 1 that they lost? Yes. It's very possible that Toro only had like half their team there for game 1. Like, this is sectionals. Toro's not worried about making regionals. I put a huge grain of salt on all sectionals results, but it is still notable that they lost this game. I love that I clicked on Brunch Club on USAU and the first name on the roster is Alan LaViolette. Alan LaViolette played with every team this year. I'm not making this up. He is there. He is not playing with them for this series, but I just
do they have
point that out. I do not see Levka's name, but it's a good question. What else we got? What was it? So we had some other interesting results, Keith.
Yeah. So out in the Southwest, I believe it's the SoCal section, California Burrito, one of the surprise bid earners for the year. They lost to Lotus in the final. That is their actual final. So this is a legit L. It'll affect the seeding. But Burrito, one of the surprise teams of the year. And somebody pointed out in the Discord that they picked up Khalif El Salam, formerly of Mixtape. Mixtape famously never wins sectionals.
That's right. Now, to be fair, they have a very challenging sectionals tournament to play.
But Leaf carries on the legacy, unfortunately, with Burrito failing to win sectionals.
Yeah, it's I have a hard time making too much of this without knowing exactly like who was there. But Burrito does seem like the kind of team that could get really hot and win Southwest regionals, or they could miss nationals. And like either outcome is totally plausible to me.
Well, the Lotus has been a team that's been in the mix to advance to nationals in years past. They have names you'd recognize on this team. Maybe there'll be another spicy addition to the Southwest mix which we already know is going to be one of the most dramatic regionals. So just a little more to add to the pot in the Southwest.
Indeed. I just love this. Nick in the chat says Levka picked up from my summer league team, played every point, and won the game for us on Universe.
No way.
That's not fair, Levka. You can't pick up on a team and play every single point.
There'd just be people would like the whole league would be like booing her. Come on. Great story if true. Legend-ish.
Amir says crazy they crushed Mischief, talking about Burrito, but couldn't beat Lotus. That's I think that's sectional speaking, just to be clear. It's my take. All right. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, in or out on all kinds of topics, including small ball, full field zone, Swiss draw, and more. Stay with us.
The game's biggest stars on the game's brightest stage. The world's most competitive annual tournament pits the playmakers and the game changers against one another in a weekend of action.
So many legacies on the line in this game.
Arguably the best player.
And that's just ridiculous.
She's got it!
And it's over!
We are back on Deep Look, and it's time for In or Out. Are you in on these topics? Are you out on these topics? Keith and I are going to debate. We'll see how often we diverge in our takes. Keith, I'll let you kick us off. What is topic number 1?
All right. Well, maybe we need to call up a special guest for this one, Rafi Hayes, for small ball. Are you in or out on small ball?
I hate to have to pick a side on this one because I have a nuanced take, but I'm out. I think as like a defining metric for how your team runs offense, I'm out. Look at the teams that have mostly played this style. It is starting to fall out of favor because defenses are adjusting. Colombia tried to run small ball offense at the World Games, and they just got so tired in every game because they were throwing a million passes and having to constantly run little upline cuts, and it was brutal. You know, we never get to see Valeria Cardenas do the thing that she's probably the best in the world at, which is bomb backhand hooks. There is obviously a time and a place for using small ball. I think it can be a great way to start possessions. I think it can be a great way to end possessions. But big ball's back, baby.
I think you may have actually kind of won me over, not through your argument, but through your framing. I'm out on small ball. The pendulum has swung too far. We have gone too far. Once it normalizes, I'll be back in. I think there's some beautiful ways that Ultimate can be played using small ball. It can generate some like really fantastic moments that are fun to watch and fun to be a part of. But it also can be a snooze fest. So, and it's only as effective as you are skilled at running it. It is just one tool in the toolkit. It is not the end all be all. So I'm going to say out here. What's next?
+1 soft cap. It's the new normal.
Yeah, this has really become the de facto. I am in. I'm in. I think it's a nice medium between, straight up hard cap and horrors of the +2 cap, or God forbid the old win by 2 days. This This is a good happy medium, even if I don't necessarily think it's necessary. So I'll say in.
Oh, I'm way in. I'm like all the way in. I think +1 soft cap has been a great addition to the game. The old cap rules were incredibly complicated. This really smooths things out. You have way fewer games going to hard cap. Teams understand that like the time limit now more or less means you're getting to the end of the game. So it's not quite the same like long dragged out scenario. So I'm a big fan.
I will say people seem to have this obsession with scoring to win, and I'm not sure that I get it. I think I am pro hard cap generally. Like in what other sport? Like if you go up 4-0 in a soccer match, it doesn't matter whether the other team, like, they have to score the goals in the time. They have to outscore you within the amount of time that you have. I don't know why our sport is different like that.
I'll give you the answer that makes it very simple. The answer is tennis. You have to score to win. And in break-based sport like tennis or ultimate, I think it's very important that you have that feature at least on your biggest games, which of course is what it is. Now, I think so. How many games even get to hard cap now? Right? So they have a hard cap still at nationals, for instance. That's usually 15 minutes after the +1 soft. You're so unlikely to get there. And so I guess if you're in a world where you're up, I don't know, let's say you're up 11-5 in a game, you get to soft cap, and then they score and score and score and score, and now it's 11-9, and hard cap goes on, and they score and it's 11-10, and your team wins. It's like, well, okay, like you did enough early. But
Right.
if it's semis or finals, yeah, you got to score that 12th goal.
That I think I agree with, but maybe that's more as a spectator and the drama. Like I don't want to cut teams off from your comeback, but like play better earlier. You know what I mean? Like
I hear you. I hear you.
The order of the goals being scored just shouldn't be so important in my mind. Anyway, on to our next one.
I do think whenever possible, we should avoid having hard caps. And I think that really the only reason they exist at this point in this new system is to avoid a game that's like horribly windy where like neither team can close it out. There's still a world where you get to hard cap and the hard cap, you run 10 minutes past hard cap. So
seen it. I've seen it done.
It happens. But if you can get away with not having a hard cap, I think you should.
Yeah, definitely an efficiency nod. Just getting teams. I still remember Southeast D1 Women's Division Regionals, and Central Florida was playing Georgia Tech, and it was the first year that they had done the +1 rule, and Georgia Tech came back from like down like 7 or 8 or something and won. And Central Florida was furious because under the old rules, they would have won. The game would have been over, and that game went like a half hour over time. Like the whole tournament basically had to reorganize to account for that one game. But that's how it went down.
You read the next one, I think.
Yes. So next one is a proposed rule change to USA Ultimate rules to allow subbing during timeouts in USA Ultimate play. In or out, Charlie?
Well, just to be clear, this is like being discussed still, but it's not like in the actual draft rules for next year because there's new rule set coming out 2026. But it's not in that. But to your question, do I want subs on timeouts? 100% definitively, absolutely in. I'm completely in. Look, why do we have to suffer through these horrendous hell points that last 15, 20 minutes, multiple timeouts, people completely exhausted, horrible ultimate, slop fest, when we have a tool that has proven to work well at the semi-pro level for years that makes timeouts much more strategically interesting? Here's my proposal, okay? You make subs on timeouts allowed. You give each team one timeout per half, and we call it good.
I'm in. I'm in. And, we've talked logistically about how I think there are challenges. Like, you can't have like sub limits. You either need to have sub everybody. Maybe you could do sub one, or it's sub everybody. But I think that when people are against this concept, the two arguments are here, like, it should be a two-way game. It should be about endurance. I still think it's going to be, especially if you're talking about one timeout or one on a floater. This is not going to happen that frequently. It feels like it does when you're watching the UFA or a semi-pro game, right? It feels like, I don't know, 75% of the breaks are scored by the O-line in the UFA. I don't know if it feels like that to you, but it feels like that to me. But I don't think it would be like that in USAU Club. I think you would still need to be a two-way player. You would still need to be able to be successful on offense after getting the turn, and you would still need to be able to play defense as an O-line. So I don't think it would erase that part of the game.
Timeouts are the worst part of USAU play right now because they have zero strategic value. Zero. There is never a time when it benefits your team to take the timeout. You don't get to reset the stall count. You don't get to do a substitution. Basically, the optimal use of timeouts right now is to try to blunt the other team's momentum by taking a timeout after you've given up 2 straight breaks early in the first half. Like, that is the number one thing. And then the other way that they're used the most often, which is horrible, is stall 3 on after catching a warning track huck, and you're like, okay, let's let the defense get completely reset, and then we'll tap it back in and inevitably turn it over. They are not interesting. They just take up time in a game where we already spend so much time not playing. You get me started on time between points. That's a whole nother topic. But if you allow subs on timeouts, now all of a sudden timeouts become much more valuable. And, resetting the stall would also be pretty interesting. Like, I think you reduce the number of timeouts, you make them more valuable, and suddenly it becomes a fun and interesting part of the sport instead of something that just mostly makes it like take way longer to actually play the game.
Joe says, a counterpoint, timeouts between points are more useful, more interesting, and better for broadcasting when they're communicated quickly and clearly. So better to make timeouts during play less valuable to encourage more of these more interesting timeouts between points. I don't know that I buy it, Joe.
I don't really buy it. I am open to the idea of having like 30-second timeouts or something like that are usable between points, to just like get a little more time to talk strategy, but don't massively extend the amount of already massive amount of time we have between points. I think it's there's a lot of ways to improve timeout value in Ultimate, and subs would certainly be a smart one since we've seen it work well. And by the way, I will say the new youth rules proposed for next year do allow for substitutions during timeouts in youth games. I forget exactly all the parameters, but basically the idea is like, let's not make these poor kids go out there and die on a 25-minute point when it's 20-mile-per-hour winds, And that makes sense.
Totally.
Okay, Keith, hockey assists. Are you in or out on hockey assists as a useful stat?
I think I'm out here. I get the concept behind, that not a lot of times the throw before the assist is the actual difficult to execute throw and the one that sets up the easy dish pass. We've all seen the huck to the warning track, and then the person gets the flip, and it's like the person who threw the huck doesn't get any credit, especially because we don't track yardage in most formats of play. But I don't see any reason to just like arbitrarily decide that 2 passes ago was also valuable or equally like, why not 3 passes ago? It's not, to me, it's not a revealing piece of information. I don't know if having a lot of hockey assists necessarily means you are good or throwing well. So I'm out on hockey assists.
That's a horrible take, Keith. I'm in. They are useful, particularly as a shorthand for not having yardage statistics, because you so often see the throw before the assist being the key throw. Either it's the break throw out to space that then sets up the cut to the cone for an easy break side score, or it's the 50-yard huck to like right to the goal line that then is just a dishy into the end zone. You telling me the person who just dishes it into the end zone deserves all the credit? No, it's the person who threw the 50-yard hook
No.
or got the hard around break off. So to me, the hockey assist is really useful because, like in hockey, like why do we talk about it in hockey, Keith? You're a hockey guy. Why do we have hockey assists?
Because often probably the same concept, right? Multiple passes, and those passes actually could set up the score. But
okay, so then why wouldn't we like that in Ultimate?
Because you're like drawing on this mythical example where it is that pass. But what if it was 2 passes before? What if somebody throws a 70-yard huck, person catches it, they throw it backwards, that person throws it up the line, and then that person throws the score? Why does the person who threw, why are we deciding that 2 passes ago is specifically more valuable than 3 or 4 passes ago with no evaluation of the actual throw? We count the assist because it's the one that scores the play. So we need to have a delineation
somewhere. Of course we should
somewhere.
count the assist.
But there's no reason to me that specifically 2 passes prior to the score has some intrinsic value.
You're wrong.
3, 4, 5 passes might. How many times have you seen a pass 4 or 5 time throws before be the hard throw that sets up the score? It doesn't tell me any useful information. I think it tells you something. I'm not gonna say it's completely useless. It does tell you involvement. I think in general, when because I've tracked hockey assists, the players who have a lot of hockey assists tend to be your high touch players who are involved in scoring throws. So I'm not going to say it has no value, but I don't think it tells you much more than touches tells you about how a player played the game. I think somebody in the chat said they are the most valuable stat, and that is categorically insane to me. That makes no sense.
Well, look, the most important stat is the straight up most important stat is goals. The second most important stat is yards. And the third most important stat is assists. And then I would put hockey assists as a fourth. Well, I mean, this is all offensive focus. So blocks are probably literally the number one stat in Ultimate, but because of their rarity. So the thing is, though, I disagree. I think that hockey assists more often than not are telling a story about how somebody set up the scoring play. Now, are there times when it's meaningless? Yeah, of course. Sometimes I throw the centering pass and then the center handler throws a one-throw score, and I get a hockey assist for doing nothing besides catching the pull. Obviously, yes, that's not as meaningful as when you throw that a break or whatever, but that can happen in hockey too. I guess hockey probably has rules. Hang on. Hockey probably has rules. I don't know. Hockey probably has rules about when you get the hockey assist. You don't get it if you pass to somebody who then takes it one-on-one for 5 seconds and then dishes for the score. That would just be a 1 assist score. I'm not a super big NHL guy, so I don't know for sure, but even in basketball, like that
they don't track every pass before a score is not an assist. Just even in basketball.
It's actually crazy how often they give assists though, even on drive scores. They do give them a lot. This one's really, the chat's going crazy on this one. Jack says Keith's crashing out.
I have strong feelings. What? Bring back Charlie and I arguing about if it's okay to take, speaking of timeouts, if it's okay to take timeouts to stall the cap, because that's what you want to see me crash out. We'll bring that topic back up.
Oh, we'll do that at the end. We'll bring it back. That's an iconic deep look topic. All right, you're up, Keith.
All right. So this one came from our Discord. Grant Lindsley rocking the red leggings for the U.S. World Games team. Are you in or out on Grant Lindsley rocking the deep red leggings?
Take a look. There's Grant with his red Under Armour leggings. I've never given this any thought in my life. I'm trying to make a decision about how I feel right now. I'm in. It matches the team colors. It's not outrageous. So I'm in. Black is boring.
I totally agree. I not something I would ever wear, but totally in because it is in line with the team aesthetic. It's distinct. And if you're out, you're a hater. You're just a hater. If they were lime green or something, or
I'd be out.
Polka dots, yeah, we'd have a different conversation. But they're literally a solid color that's in the team color scheme. You got to be in.
Jack says, can we have some uniformity, please? No off-color leggings, only one color allowed. All right, well, then I guess we're only red leggings for Team USA.
I think that's supposed
Jack
to be
says,
a rule, isn't it?
how are people supposed to take this sport seriously? Jack, let me break it to you. They don't take it seriously. It's not a serious sport. It's a
Is
goofy
Jack
sport.
Bryan
that we
Nevison? Is that who's?
All right. Next one. Zone all the way down the field, never breaking out into matchup defense, Keith. In or out?
This is hot right now. I'm for the community. I'm going to say it. People are really doing this a lot, way more than when I was coming up. We were always transitioning to match up in the end zone, but because teams are running already a lot more switching stuff in the end zone, I think a lot of more teams are running zone all the way down the field, just looking to stop the small ball attack. So I'm in. Sign me up.
I am also in, mostly because I think teams have figured out how to run zone in the red zone. It's different, but you're able to take advantage of the fact that there is a boundary now on three sides that allows the zone actually to be more effective if you know what you're doing and you don't get caught like letting somebody into the soft spots. The thing is, getting turnovers off elite offenses in the red zone is already really difficult. So if you want to let them throw a fast blade to the back corner, like, okay, you hit that, good for you. Like, you deserve the score if you can hit that throw. But if you're able to just take away the scoring spaces at the cones and along the front of the end zone, which is where 90% of goals are scored once you're in the red zone set, then you're already, doing the thing that the defense needs to do, which is making it hard for the offense to get what they want. You're way less worried about uplines. You're way less worried about, trying to deal with a dominator set or something like that one-on-one, which is so hard. It's almost impossible. And that's why we've seen the rise of zonal looks and junky looks in the red zone. So if you're going to play zone already, you might as well stay in it. I'm in.
Also, you want to test
my
the
answer
team's
would have been
patience?
different 10 years ago.
I totally agree. I would have felt totally different. And I think that, even at lower levels where small ball is not as effective, so like you don't necessarily need to do this to stop red zone, but try forcing some college team to throw 35 passes in the end zone, in the red zone. Somebody's going to get those goal lines and they're throwing in the end zone some trash. There you go.
Joe Mama says the big difference is the types of zones are different. You wouldn't run a 4-person cup in the red zone, and that used to be what every team ran. So it's true. Like, something like that is not going to work because it's too easy to break through the cup once and then get a tiny little pass into the end zone. So this makes sense.
EMF says in all caps, why are you transitioning out of zone in the spot that it's the most effective? Are you insane? Well, the reason is because zones have easy to identify hotspots or soft spots, and a 5-yard pass could be the scoring pass. Like, a scoring pass has more value than a normal pass because it ends the point. So there is some reason to not just do it. Anyway, on to our next one. Charlie, flag football as a threat to Ultimate, and specifically Youth Ultimate. Do you think youth flag football is a threat? Are you in or out?
I'm out. If you're in the Discord, you already know. Look, are there going to be some kids who maybe would have played Ultimate that play flag football instead? Sure. But Ultimate's player base at the youth level is so small that we have so many other problems to worry about. Like, maybe just getting teams at all at 90% of high schools in this country. That there's no world in which I think that somehow flag football is going to like decimate the already microscopic community of youth Ultimate players. Like, it's just not happening. I think that, if Ultimate isn't proving to be fun enough for the girls who play soccer, who now are going to decide, I'm sick of soccer and now I'm going to play flag football instead of playing Ultimate, well, then we need to change how we like practice and recruit for Ultimate, because I think, flag football is fun. I like playing flag football, but I also like playing ultimate. Like, both things can be fun and interesting. And theoretically, they're not even in the same seasons. So I just, this is not something that I'm going to stress out about.
Charlie doesn't know that I'm currently thinking about starting Flag Football World if it's not already taken, and doing deep flag football look or something. I'm in. I don't know. I don't really understand your logic. Ultimate is so small that if flag football takes away some of the players, it won't really matter. Like that doesn't make sense. If we're already small, it matters even more that someone's cutting in to our small proportion. In particular, with young women matching players. Like I've seen the flag football marketing, and a lot of it is directed at attracting girl matching players to participate. And that is a segment that we are already strapped at. So any cut into that is going to be harmful and have potential long-term ramifications. I think that also flag football could potentially attract the type of person who we already want in Ultimate by dealing with some of the safety concerns and the equity concerns that already people have about football. So I think this is a threat. They already got Emily Kemp, Charlie. They already took one of our up and coming stars. It's happening. We might have already lost the war. We don't even know.
Look, if your mindset is we've already done what we can, this is the community of youth players we have, and now we're going to start losing them to flag football, well, then sure, we're screwed. But if your mindset is there are millions and millions and millions of potential ultimate Frisbee players, and we need to do a better job of creating teams and making it fun to go out and play ultimate Frisbee, then we're completely fine.
2026 USAU, what was it, 990 drops. I want to see 5% of the budget spent on smearing youth football or youth flag football. That's right. Defend our players.
You want to play this cheap version of ultimate Frisbee? All right. Is it you or me? It's me.
You.
Okay. In or out on Jake Moody as the 49ers kicker?
Why you want to trade? You want to trade Young Wei Koo for him?
Well, guess what? I'm out, and so are the 49ers. He just got cut. Don't let the door hit you, Jake. All right. Actually, no look throws, Keith.
Oh. That's a tough one for me.
Listen. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say out. It hurts me to do it a little bit because obviously they're cool, but it's unclear to me how effective they are. And we are so far behind what I think we could be achieving as throwers that this feels like a misplacement of resources. I'm glad some people are exploring it. Maybe we'll find that it's super effective. I, in fact, kind of want to try it myself. I want to make this a part of my game potentially and see if it's useful. But on the whole, most people need to be working on way other stuff throwing wise, and there are other areas we can explore as throwers. So I'm gonna say out, and I feel like I'm gonna get unked for this. I mean, I'm obviously
look. I'm in with the caveat that I agree with your general assessment that this is like very high hanging fruit. This is the kind of thing you need to do after you've mastered actually being a good thrower. But if you have done those things and you are able to take advantage of no look throws, it could be a great way to unlock red zone defenses. You are looking over here, you pump fake, and then you're throwing no look back to a soft spot that you've already identified. Like it works. So I'm not out completely. I'm in, but only for the top 5% of throwers. Is that fair?
I see your asterisk. Maybe this will shift the meta to looking will be the new no looking. Just like staring down somebody. There's no way you're gonna throw it right where you're staring, right?
I mean,
It's all long con.
I think it's very useful in certain settings. What I don't like to see, I'm pretty sure I watched Tobias Brooks throw a no look turnover, like swinging against a zone. I'm like, nah, I don't think we need that.
Oh, I distinctly remember watching him throw one his first year with Colorado in the red zone. I think after like a huck, then they tried to set up in the red zone and he tried to throw this cute no look throw and it was awful. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, this is what there are going to be so many of those. So many kids are going to imitate this and
I
fail
know.
miserably, and their coaches are going to be like, "You got to be kidding that you decided now was the time to go no look."
GA says
How about
no
this
look
one?
throws help earn the hockey assist. That's true.
Is it worth more? Do you get more for that? How about this one? Swiss draw, no bracket. How do you feel about Swiss draw, no bracket?
No bracket.
This was specified in the Discord as no bracket. Because I think we're both for Swiss draw. So, how do you feel about it if there's no bracket? It's just Swiss draw.
I'm in. Why not? You still get to a championship game. And I think that we are so, as a US ultimate community, we are so out on Swiss draw that I'm in simply because I want to see it get used more and like, let's try it. I don't,
EMF,
as a media person,
for season specifically. I don't know why he says that's important. I don't really know why.
well, yeah, because you want to have a bracket format for a like a national championship tournament, of course. I assumed that in the framing of the question. I mean, I'm in.
A Swiss draw is like kind of an invisible bracket. So I'm not even sure that you need a bracket for a national championship. Like you're taking the teams that are winning and winning important games. So I don't know. I'm not even sure you need it. I'm in.
I mean, I do think that still it's better to do like 4 rounds of Swiss and then cut to semis or something like that. But
I agree, but
I'm still
it's
in.
not required.
The thing about Swiss that's really good is that it power matches opponents really quickly. Like you're getting games at your level within 2 rounds instead of having to slog through. If you're a bad team and you're getting killed all pool play, what's the point? Like, don't you want to play good close games? It's more fun. And same's true for the top teams.
Good news for you, Charlie. Jackson Dolan, who runs East Coast Invite, Swiss draw being considered for the format for ECI in 2026.
He says heavily considered. Well, Jackson, let this be the push that you need. Keith and I are in. You should be in. Let's do it. The only challenge is like setting up the next round, but all you need is maybe 15 minutes of extra time between rounds to make it work.
To give teams
I want to see it happen.
Fields.
Yep. I want to see it happen. I think just think
You're
it's
next,
a better
Charlie.
format. Okay, Keith, collared jerseys.
Oof. I think if I gotta pick one or the other, I think I'm gonna go out. Yeah, Machine was rocking these. I have a couple, and I don't really like it, so I'm gonna say out. I think these Machine kits are fine though. I'm not hating, but if you're gonna make me pick one way or the other, I can't just like land in the middle and be like sometimes yes, sometimes no. I'm gonna generally go out here.
I'm out. It just looks like slop to me. What is this collar on this Machine jersey? It's I can imagine a world in which I might liked it, but I think I'm out. Aiden's out. Anthony's in. What's your votes in the chat? Would you get this Machine? Would you wear this Machine jersey? That's a weird jersey overall.
I'm fine with it, but it's funny because ultimately I think I'm out. I think most people don't execute this well, and it's like cool that it's different, but that's about as far as I'll go. There's like nothing else I find about the collar that's compelling to me. It's just different.
You're up.
All right. Oh gosh. Give me the stick of dynamite. Tell me it's my turn. Pick up teams playing at sectionals, at club sectionals, Charlie. Are you in or at this? This just like 48 hours of straight yelling at each other in Discord on this topic.
Yeah, this is a spicy one. Basically, idea being that teams that just kind of come together who are like kind of good, and they steal a bid to regionals from a team that like earned a bid during the regular season, but then lost to the pickup team who never played a single event. Look, I'm an old head at this point in Ultimate. I've been playing for 20 years. I started playing when I was 16. And I think I just have to be in. I'm in. This is like a fundamental premise of how we run the club series. You can get together with whoever you want, and if you're willing to show up to sectionals, you can go all the way to a national championship. And I definitely understand the arguments against it, that it's like unfair to the teams who have put in the effort during the regular season. And like, I could imagine a world where like, in order to be qualified for the postseason, you have to have played 5 games or something like that during the regular season. But I don't know, like there's something kind of like cool about the fact that this series is what really matters. And, you just, if you lose to a pickup team, then I guess you need to recruit better for the next season. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, look, I feel bad for the teams that get knocked out this way. But that's a skill issue, bruh. Like, I don't know. Like if a team that doesn't practice, if you did all your practice and you're still not good enough to beat them, like, sorry about it. It's winning season with to the victors go the spoils. So it almost feels like it should be maybe in reverse. Like this is the one time they can get together. I don't know. I get the complaint. I'm sure it feels bad to like put in a bunch of effort in your season and then get knocked out by some team that just showed up. And especially when it's a bunch of all-stars, so you're like, shouldn't you be on real club teams? Like, shouldn't you be practicing somewhere instead of coming here to ruin my sectionals, Levka or whatever? But
most of those players already do that. Like, it's pretty rare these days to get a team. Sure, there are teams that steal regional spots, but then they get blasted at regionals. It's not like we have random pickup teams showing up to sectionals and then going all the way to nationals. And like, if they do, power to them. That'd be a crazy story. But this would have bad implications as well. For instance, I spent a while since I played sectionals, club sectionals, but the last time I played with an NYU team that was mostly kids on the team who are like going to get reps in the early part of the college fall. And we had no chance. Like, we weren't going to be going to regionals, even if we qualified. And it was a great experience for those players to get out there and get reps against better teams. And like, if you implemented a rule about this, those players wouldn't be able to get those reps. And I think that's net worse than the few marginal examples we have of teams sniping bids.
We're both in, and we also may be in on a pickup team. Hit us up next year.
TD says, if you want pickup teams at sectionals, don't tell me you want the regular season to matter. Look, I think, to me, we want the regular season to matter for the elite teams. I'm just being honest.
You're definitely right.
Like, for everybody else, the regular season does matter because it's like, that is your season.
Yeah.
But then you have,
when we say the regular season doesn't matter, we mean for the top tier teams, not for everybody else. We don't mean that for everybody else. What if we had pickup sectionals? Oh God, nobody would go. I think. I think the reason they form is for the misery they give others.
well, I'll tell you another reason that sectionals is fun for pickup teams. It's close. For most people, sectionals is a 2-hour drive or less. And that's like a nice thing to have a tournament that's like got real teams and is close by. And like, if college buddies said, "Hey, like, you guys want to play club sectionals this year?" and I didn't have anything going on, I'd probably say yes, and I would go play. And whether we probably wouldn't go to regionals even if we got in.
Interesting.
keep it
Somebody
moving.
says if what's to stop all teams from classifying as pickup teams and not having to play the regular season at all? Well, because the teams that are good that would want to do that, their regions would have fewer bids, as would their section. So
Yeah.
they also wouldn't
Well,
have
first
any
of all,
preparation at tournaments together, so they like wouldn't be good enough to win the way that they want to. I think that's a self-solving problem.
well, it's already been solved. If you make nationals or finish and losing the game to go at regionals, you're required to play certain tournaments the next year. And if you don't, you're not allowed to exist as a team. So they've already solved this at the high end. And then everybody else, like, there's an incentive to try to earn bids so that you can go to nationals or go to regionals. This is not much of a problem in 2025. It's just not. In fact, I would say, can we pull up examples? Can people pull examples of pickup teams taking spots from teams that played during the regular season from this section?
The only one that I believe is the case, and somebody can check me if I'm wrong, is a team called Fireball in mixed, who took a spot from Revival Flatball, I believe. That's one of the MA sections. I don't remember which one. But that's the only example that I've heard of.
So I mean, it happens, but it's a tiny thing overall. I'm looking at their roster right now. Yeah, Rico's on it. Rico's in the chat, so of course Rico's in. Oh my gosh! All right, Keith. 6v6 mixed, cutting from 7s to 6s, in or out?
Where's my disc 4s? What is this disc 6s? That's so hard to say. Yeah, sure. Let's try it. I'm in. Right? Like, why not? Give an even distribution on the field. Give us a new format to try. See if we like it. Maybe it's better for the World Games or something. I don't know. I don't know if you need to change the field size for 6s. Like, I feel like the current field is too large, and that is a potential logistical issue. But yeah, I'm in. No erase my caveats. No, I'm in.
My real question is 6s versus 8s. But I think I'm in. I think having the balance on the field just makes sense. The question is, do you need to adjust the field size? Is 8 too many? At the World Games, I felt like there was so much space on the field, and like it felt like they could have gone 8s and it wouldn't have been a problem. But that's a very different game than is being played at even club mixed nationals, right? Like that's the level of skill is super, super high. I'd be interested to see what it looked like. You could, and I think adjusting the field size is not realistic unless you split the seasons apart, because you're going to be having these like men's and women's teams playing on regular standard fields that you can't then change the size for mixed. I think it's just not. I mean, I guess you could paint lines like tennis courts and have like the mixed lines and the open women's lines, but that'd be weird.
We can barely paint the regular lines, Charlie.
But I think I'm in terms of trying a straight up, no more complicated, like switching ABBA 4334. I don't know. I'd be curious to know how like hardcore mixed players feel about this, but I'm in for experimentation on rules in general, so I think I'm in on trying this.
Same thought. Video review, Charlie. We were asked about video review. I believe the argument was that that it takes so long, and you've heard about the complaints about VAR and other sports. You know, is it worth it all to get to the right conclusion? Video review, you in or out?
All right, here's my thoughts, okay? I'm very in, but we need to have video boards in the stadiums for doing video review, because mostly what should be happening is the players should be reviewing their own video basically in real time to the broadcast. And if you have a video board in the stadium, you can achieve that. And it's not hard to get a video board in the stadium, you just have to pay to have it. So and really, let me be clear. I'm talking about nationals and worlds. I'm not talking about sectionals. Like, I guess obviously, because there's not really any opportunity to do video review outside of these big tournaments. But I think we should be having video boards at all major tournaments. And then players can do their own video review. I think we get better calls. I think we get shorter disputes. I think we get more fair resolutions. I also think we're probably at the point where they should consider putting an observer in the production booth for all games who can, like, if there's a question that the on-field observers want a thought on, like, hey, you know, was there contact before the play? Like, video review person, do you see something? They can just wire in on their wireless comms and say, yeah, like, clearly contact on the foot as they were going up. And then you could get more fair resolutions that way. Now, that maybe is a step too far for a lot of Ultimate players, because it feels like the observers then are acting more like referees, which is why I think the video board thing is a better, cleaner solution. But I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, Charlie wants Secaucus in Ultimate. What's the Secaucus? Refer to Secaucus here. I want the video board with more going on. I want video board, and then they like zoom in on exactly where the foot went out of bounds, and then also shame the person who made the call that was wrong. Let's really lean into it. I'm in. I'm in. As long as it doesn't take too long. Like, we don't need to spend like 5 minutes finding somebody who has the video. As long as it doesn't take too long, I'm in.
I forget where we were. I think PUL championship weekend last year, we set up a like monitor field side for video review, and like it never got used. So to me, it's like video board or observer in the booth, or don't do it at all, because otherwise it's too tedious. But I think video board is the cleanest solution, and it's just like, let's just please have them at the showcase field for all major tournaments.
Robot observers. Floating that out there.
Wait, I had one more that I wanted to throw at you. Let me see if I can remember what it was.
I actually had one too, but I also forgot.
God, we were talking about it for 6v6, I think. Oh, I got to give up. I don't remember what it was. If I think of it during mailbag question of the week, we'll get to it. But what is the mailbag question of the week, Keith?
The mailbag question of the week. Let's take this one from Ravi. With the success of the U.S. World Games team, Minnesota and the UFA, are we entering a new era where defense is more important than offense? Will defensive players ever be in contention for Player of the Year? Is defense becoming more valuable? What do you think, Charlie?
No. It's a balance like it always has been. I feel like you can win with a great defense and you can win with a great offense. And we've seen examples of teams do it both ways. And I don't think that anything has particularly changed. to sort of like make it clear there were some sort of like defensive or offensive era. Right now the best teams, it's a little bit division based, right? And style based. Like look at the US World Games team. They won with an elite defense, and they were able to overcome an elite offense in the end of the game. And so, making your decisions on your roster around having an incredibly skilled defensive team, I mean, it makes sense for a World Games team. But I think there's plenty of examples where teams win a title because they have a tremendously talented offensive unit that only gives up 1 or 2 breaks a game. And, we've seen Truck Stop, for instance, win like that. So I think there's no like substantive change here.
No, and no silver bullet. I also think it's just I in fact probably swing more the other way. I still think offense is more valuable. There's a reason that basically every star player you could think of plays on the O-line. There's a reason that a great offense in my mind is going to beat a great defense most of the time. And like finding great offensive players is harder than finding great defenders. And I definitely think offense is still more valuable in the sport. It's designed that way. People like offense, but also it's just the way the rules feel like they're written into the sport, the way the strategy is developed, like just advantageous to be on offense.
Keep in mind, you can have the best defense in the world, and if you can't put it into the end zone after the turnover, it doesn't matter. So offense, definitionally is required.
Yeah, I'm still very much of the mind that offense is more valuable at this juncture. Will we ever see a D players be in contention for Pody? I mean, not unless you're playing both ways. I mean, I just can't imagine the thing is about being a great individual defender is there are still 6 other offensive players. You could be like basically a perfect defensive player. Imagine somebody who like literally nobody could get open on them. And an offense could just operate around that human, right? Like, but on the other side, a perfect offensive player just can't be stopped, basically. Like the sacrifices you'd have to make defensively would crush your defense. So yeah, I think it's hard as a defensive player specifically to win the Pody. It's not impossible, right? Like Nathan Champeau, Cammy Groom, these are like players known for their defense who've been Pody players in time. So it's not impossible, but I think it's you have to be a good offensive player. It's the bare minimum.
Alexia McCaskill says, "We are no longer friends, Keith."
It's not. I take it all back.
All right. I think that's it. Stay tuned, folks. Top 25 players from the World Games article coming out very soon. And we've got Club Regionals coming up next week. So we'll get you ready for Club Regionals when we see you here Tuesday, noon Eastern, next week, right here live on YouTube. And always in wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a review. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. You know all the drill here. If you're not subscribed to the Ultra World YouTube channel, what are you doing? Hit subscribe. Hit like. Thanks for being with us. For Keith Raynor, I'm Charlie Eisenhood. And our producer, Lindsay Sue, saying so long. And we'll talk to you next week right here on Deep Look.
Taking timeouts to get the cap is cowardly. You should be ashamed of yourself.
It's just simply good strategy.
And ethically and morally compromised.
Easy answer. Don't have hard caps.